at that point.
I don't know when it started, but it was a blackout in total darkness for 10 plus million people as their fuel reserves run dry and the grid collapses again. So, share that. Everybody share that one out as soon as anybody tries to talk about socialism and thinking that it's a good thing, because this is the result. I mean, this guy comes in, he climbs a tree just so that he can get a signal to talk to us. It's really, people have no idea.
I mean, again, I know a lot of people were pissed off at immigrants that came to this country. And I'm just telling you, the people that I know, the people that have become my friends, the people that are Spanish, they ran from tyranny when they came here. They had gangs that were running those countries. I could imagine that it's a little bit better now. But at that point, these immigrants were running from tyranny. The middle 90s, the Civil War and the unrest there was like no other. They didn't even cover it here, really what was going on. People's families being taken. So, I have a little special spot in my heart for these immigrants. I'll be honest with you. And most of them, again, a lot of people.
There's a big difference. People could be immigrants and come to this country, and that's welcoming. And there is reasons that people have to come. However, within the last couple of years, what's been going on is not the same thing. And if you are an immigrant and you've been here for 20, 30 years, I'm sorry, you have to try to become a citizen.
Julie, you know how many times I argue with Rusty over this? I'm just telling you, they did not give them the pathway. They looked at them like a paycheck. They rolled those immigrants over the coals, made them spend thousands of dollars a year on immigration and cards and status and all these cases, and was never brought up to be a citizen, ever. So, they're still screwing with those same people today, trying to change their status. So in the back of my head, yes, I'm sure that people that are lazy, aren't working, contributing, but the people that are contributing and have been through that process, there's many, many people that have come into this space and said the same exact thing.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I have heard you say that before. Okay, I've heard you say that before. Although have never heard this in my life, so I just haven't heard about that. Now, okay, people might have been raked over the coals, and it's been both parties that have done this, that have used these people over and over again. It's both parties. I want people to remember that. People don't just blame the Democrats, don't just blame the Republicans. It's both parties. Okay, they use them for their advantage each time that they get into power, and they use the lower class, the immigrants, for their own use, whether it be for good, for bad, or whatever. But
so when you
the problem now, Marlon, is there is so many that have crossed over, that have came here. Where do you draw the line? I mean, that's the problem, because they have let this happen for so long. That's the problem.
Well, look, one thing, hey, so Sage, I know you guys got him blocked. I know he was a pain in the ass over on Rumble, but me and Sage have kind of worked a little something out. So, look, I'm going to give him the shot, Julie. And, I know he's got some, things or alternative views. Let's hear it. So, you know what, Sage, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah, it's Sage.
Okay, well, this guy went and put on social media that I was running a daycare center illegally. So
Hey, yeah,
I'm supposed to unblock.
All right. Well, wait.
Both of you, actually.
Wait. Hold on, Julie. Let's get it out in front of him. So here's your problem, Sage. Julie is your problem. Go ahead, Julie. Tell him what you want to say.
I just told him. I said he put up a post, which I still have, that I was running an illegal daycare center here in New Jersey. Whether it was a joke or not, it's not a joke to me.
Sage?
Yeah, she can go ahead and say it. She wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Well, she did. She called you out, and this is why she's pissed at you, because you called her for running a daycare center.
Did she already?
An illegal daycare center.
Yeah, it was a joke basically because you at the time that you were saying stuff, something came up that you were like you couldn't run a daycare or something like that came out during that time. It was like 4 or 5 months ago, so I don't remember what you said. So it was basically a joke. I mean, people joke all the
Okay.
time.
Okay, but see, it's not a joke. Okay, I don't care what you would say out of your mouth. I'm not going to lie and put up a post with your picture on it saying that you're running anything illegal. Okay, you don't know who looks at this app. You have no idea.
Yeah, I think I got.
Why would you do that? You know what? If
Well,
Marlon, if he's going to be in here and stay, then I'll leave. I don't care.
Well, I was just going to say that sometimes people joke all the time about me. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor about things, right? I mean, I understand you got to take things
well,
seriously, but like I get it. But if it offended you that much, I apologize. I literally apologize. I mean, there's lots of people that I've joked around with and stuff like that people joke around about me and all the time. So if you weren't able to take that joke, I sincerely apologize that you for what I said.
all right. So, yeah. So, all right.
But I just want to say, Marlon, real quick, and then I'll go back to listener. But like I said, it was a joke that she said in regards to she said something, and if she wasn't able to get that, I get it. Like I said, it's not something. This is social media. I think nobody really. I'm not a big person on this thing, so I think like 12 people saw it. But it was just like I said. So I do sincerely apologize. So if she wants to leave, that's fine. But what I do want to say is you were right. You're 100. Well, both of you were right. You're 100% right. And she said it's not the Democrats or the Republicans. It's the system that's broke. The system is broke for these immigrants, to be completely honest. So I wanted to kind of just comment on that and say that I agree with you, what you were saying, that the system is broke. It's not Republicans, not Democrat. It's the system. And I think that the system needs to be fixed. And I'll jump back down again because, that way she doesn't have a hissy fit.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Sage. And hey, you're right. And Julie, you're right too. It's all the illegal immigrants that came into this country. Hey, even before Trump took his office, right? 2010 to 2012, there were still millions of immigrants that were coming into the country. And then it was just really magnified during the Biden administration on, hey, how lax it really was. So, I think in both sides, I know that those guys that came here, see, if you came here legal and you went through the processes, they may have had better, but a lot of these guys got caught here too, right, Julie? They had frequent flyer miles with immigration and the border patrols and the coyotes. They knew what to do to get into the country. So, in the back of my head, I would say those guys had an extra X against them. So maybe that was the reason, because those guys did come illegally first, and then, okay, they got slapped on the hand and tried to go through the immigration process.
Yeah.
I think it's a good discussion to have at the end of the day. So I don't think a whole lot of people understand that true story. And, even yesterday, hey, we had all those different immigrant populations come in and gave us their opinion. I mean, you heard the one woman from Mass, right? She was from Romania. You heard Dr. Reyes. You heard, you see Canadians. They're saying the same thing. They want to be Americans. I mean, but I think he's right. I think the system is broke. That immigration system's been broke since I've been a kid. So anywho, hey, I saw a post today. Actually, I'm sorry. I saw it on Fox News. I'm going to make a post about it. It has something to do with some infectious disease. Legionnaire's disease. Now they're saying there's an outbreak between, I think it's 101st and something in New York. They're near Central Park. They're having some kind of outbreak there. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. Maybe this is just another little feather in her cap to kind of put some fear porn out there. I don't know what it is, but hey, I just did make the post. Legionaries disease outbreak in New York. Brutal.
Yeah,
So
I didn't.
what
I didn't. I
what
didn't hear
is
about that.
what is Legionnaire's disease? Is it something with the nervous system or what? Do you know?
I have to look it up, the specifics of it. Let me look it up real quick.
I mean, I don't think I've ever even known anybody that ever had it.
It was big in the early in the 80s. Remember, that's how they coined it. It was from the air conditioning systems at these at Legion Legion halls and the VFWs and everything. And let me look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really heard about it. Now they're talking about an outbreak in New York with it. Are they limiting the travel with those people there? I mean, I don't know how infectious is it. That's the first time I heard it, and that's kind of why I took a little snippet of it this morning out of Fox Business.
Yeah, let
it's just a little form. I mean, kind of like the monkeypox and everything else. I mean,
Are you still there, Marlon?
Yep.
No, it just cut out. My computer is so slow.
Well, Legionnaire's disease, I didn't do really. I didn't find out the definition of it before I came out. I should have. I wanted to talk about it because I don't know if anybody else saw it. So if I was in New York, I'd be a little worried. Hey, this is probably a good test for Mondami's their team to be able to, hey, how is he going to kind of put a cap on this thing? I mean, I would say this is up to Mondami to put a task force out there to kind of corral the problem. Let's see what he does. I see Susan came up. Susan, how you doing?
Oh wait, Legionnaire's disease is typically appear 2 to 10 days after exposure. It closely resembles severe flu or pneumonia, high fever and chills, cough, shortness of breath, muscle aches. It's basically the same thing. It says confusion and mental changes, gastrointestinal issues. I mean, we have the other thing that says, the other virus that's going around with the exploding diarrhea that's on fruits and vegetables, apparently.
That's terrible.
Oh, well, these are the scare tactics that they're trying to get us with. But that Legionnaire's disease was big like I said, in the VFWs in the 80s. Remember, that was all going around, and you get flus, you get colds. If you have a weakened immune system, you're going to get sicker. So if you're older or if you have a chronic illness, your immune system is is not strong, you're going to get very sick from it. But it's just like everything else. You have to just watch your symptoms and then you take care of it. But they're going to do anything that they can with the midterms coming, and they're going to try to save people.
Well, I think Mondami, he's going to need some kind of response. Maybe he can, maybe reach out to the Trump campaign and see maybe, the good ship lollipop can show up in the New York Harbor again, something along those lines. I don't know.
I doubt he'll call for any kind of help like that at all. If it goes right on traction, he's just not even going to care about it. It's kind of like fend for yourself. He would have to spend money. He'd have to spend money that he doesn't want to spend on resources to combat this. So no, I don't see anything good coming of it. If indeed it is being spread and it's bad. I mean, right now the homelessness is increasing. The illegals are still there. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Julie, is there any kind of regimen or any kind of procedure in your hospital? I mean, is there any continuity between, agencies that would go out and, is there any continuity there? Just off the top of my head here, I'm just asking the question.
I guess if there's a major outbreak, you would have the state would come in, whoever the Health and Human Services, they would come in, the state, and they would obviously look into it if there was a wide enough outbreak of some sort of a disease, some sort of an illness. But typically, if there's just one case or maybe a couple cases, but if it's widespread throughout the country, then it might become a different thing, like they did when COVID happened. And
So
then,
when COVID happened, did you have officials from New Jersey come in and look at registries and cause of death and all that stuff? I mean, were you exposed to that at all?
not that I know of. I mean, everything was that people died from that had COVID. As long as they had been diagnosed with COVID, that's what killed them. Even though we knew that that's not what killed them, other things had killed them. But that's what they were. Because the hospitals got money for that, because then they would treat them with their protocols that they did. I mean, like I said in the beginning, we had the hydroxychloroquine antibiotic and steroid use combination, and it was working. And then when that got changed, and then they were using remdesivir and doing all that stuff, people were just on mechanical ventilation. They weren't getting better. Then they gave them the remdesivir that would kill their kidneys, and they would cause kidney failure and renal failure. And yeah, it wasn't a good thing. But it's like anything else. I mean, if there was an outbreak of something, I'm sure that they would step in. Then they would come in and they would have policy statewide for hospitals to follow that policy, whether it be your PPE that you have to wear or the medications that are being given, how we treat that patient, isolation, blah blah blah, kind of thing like that.
I could imagine maybe, if, hey, they did have an outbreak or something along those lines. I mean, really my question is do you think that the younger staff would just give them the blessing, anything they come through the door with? So like, you've explained many times that, hey, there's cliques inside of the hospital. Some nurses are on the right side and some nurses aren't. And, you had expressly talked about the people that really came in and get these jobs were unqualified. I mean, is that what they're looking for, just the drone to follow suit? That's what I kind of feel.
It depends, on management levels and stuff like that. Who's in that position now, or who's coming in and given positions of more of authority that would make those decisions. When it comes to giving out these kind of medications or following these protocols, I would think that most of the newer nurses, staff, respiratory therapists that are coming in, all the newer younger generation that comes in that were really scared off when they saw what happened with the COVID, that don't understand. Yeah, they would probably be the first ones to really follow that protocol to a T and do whatever they had to do, whatever they were told to do. So yeah, I could see that happening.
See, that concerns me. And, as soon as you had said that, like, hey, you were experiencing this, you're watching these other jobs being filled with, immigrants coming out of Africa and different types of women coming to take those jobs. Are they just, there because, hey, they're going to follow orders and do exactly, or they're not going to use any bedside manners? And that's wrong. But are they going to be able to pull back the reins when you got those questions, right? Now, you guys, the senior staff, has already been down this road for COVID. You already kind of have this down. You know what to expect if we had something come down again. And, really, my question would be, would every one of those nurses follow the rules just like you guys did back then? I would say that you guys learned a little bit.
I don't know so much about following the rules. I mean, obviously there's people that are going to, they're going to stay in their positions and they're going to stay in their jobs because they maybe have a few years to go. They got pensions to worry about. Whatever the reason is. But then there's a lot of people, including myself, that if something like this was to ever happen again, and they changed protocols, and it was down the line, it was all that kind of stuff, the same thing that happened to us during COVID happened again, I'm telling you, half of those people would probably just leave, take early retirement, or just go work somewhere else, go do something else. They whatever they could do just to make a little bit of money, they would not stay doing that. I know for myself, I will not stay. If that happens again, where they are lining us up like cattle and taking our temperature with our head and making us change in the garages, I'm not doing it again. So I know a lot of people feel the same way.
Yeah, that would be, it would be like, hey, the senior staff, the ones that have been through COVID, watched the frontline workers really being called out of the woodwork, and then they really stuck it up their ass years later when they all made them get vaccines or they were terminated from their jobs. Are there going to be enough of the senior staff to whoa, let's, okay, we all remember it. They were mandatory to put on a ventilator. Well, later, after we found out that being on the ventilator for 3 days takes over your natural reaction for breathing. Would that staff again stick that thing on their face and incubate them again? What I'm saying is maybe they'll be able to alter some of the treatments here and more prophylactics. And that's what I would hope would come out of the scene.
In order to for somebody to be put on a ventilator when they had COVID, they had to be paralyzed and sedated right away. It's the only way that we could do it. It's the only way that a person would be able to get that tube in. So they were already sedated and knocked out from the time that they decided that they were going to be put on the ventilator. So that took their ability away right away. It took their ability away. So, but I truthfully, Marlon, there's a lot of people I know that would never go through this again. They won't go through it again. Ever since this whole thing happened, I mean, I can't tell you how many people don't even do flu shots anymore, which is great. And I'm one of the people. I mean, I did flu shots for years. I was, Lindsay, how's Lindsay? She was the same way. She didn't know flu shots. Everybody did flu shots. Why not? But now that we see and everybody's eyes are open, people are not doing it. They try to force you, but you know what? If you go the right path and you stand in line together, which we did, like I said, there was about 70 of us, and we were all ready to walk out the door if we did not get allowed to get that religious exemption. And we did. It took one woman to say she was going to take this to court, and they knew that they were going to lose because we weren't going to stop. And the rest of us were all pretty much behind her. Plus we were all going to walk out. It was that simple.
So instead of incubating these patients and putting them under, why didn't they use like a CPAP? And
because we wanted to use BiPAPs, we wanted to use high flows, and then all of a sudden they told us, oh no, those, because they produce aerosol. Aerosol was the way that COVID was contracting to other people, was with aerosolized, from your mucus. Mucus aerosolizes, goes out in the air, gets into another person's lungs, and then they get it. And the funny thing is that, after the big COVID scare got over and, things kind of laxed a little bit, it was awful funny. And I said it for the longest time. I used to say it all the time and I used to bust balls because they would come out and say, okay, put this patient on BiPAP, put this patient on high flow. And I'd be like, wait a minute, we weren't allowed to do that in 2020, 2021, but now we can do it? What changed? Oh, well, the virus isn't as potent. That was the excuse that we would get all the time. Same thing, we weren't allowed to give aerosol treatments, breathing treatments. I mean, you have kids coming in with asthma, and that's the first thing that you would do, is the front line that you do with care with asthma is give them a bronchodilator to help open up their lungs before you do anything else. And we weren't allowed to do that. I mean, could you imagine how scared parents must have been knowing that they weren't allowed to do aerosolized treatments? It's crazy.
Susan, do you have something you want to add? Because, you know,
Yes.
when you start breaking that subject apart and what we experience, you know, I'm wondering what would our reaction be again, right? Go ahead, Susan.
Well, when I saw, early in my career, I was an ICU nurse. And when I saw that they were going to put one person or two people on the same ventilator, I was like, what? What are we doing? And then to tell elderly people, and this happened to my father up in Canada in 2013, go to the hospital, you're 83 years old, you've got problems breathing, you've got, mucus buildup, you can't breathe. What did they do? Send him home twice. Twice. By the third time, it was too flippin' late. And this is what elderly people were told to do: stay home till you can't breathe. Well, that doesn't work in the elderly. That'll kill you. I've worked with the elderly in skilled care and long term care, and you have to get right on top of it right away with the steroids, with the antibiotics, with fluids, the whole 9 yards, or you're going to lose that person. And, the years and years where the elderly were frightened into get your flu shot, get your flu shot, get your Pneumovax, get your flu shot, get your Pneumovax. Oh, get another flu shot. This destroys the immunity in your system where you can't naturally, fight any of that off. I happen to have a strong immune system. Why? Because I didn't get all the vaccines that kids nowadays get. We got, a few, including smallpox. And I pushed back on all the flu shots because I'd already done my research 20 years ago, actually 25 years ago on vaccines. Yeah, I don't think people are going to do that again. It's to the point where doctors are getting freaked out because patients are asking questions and the doctors don't have an answer because they blindly followed the CDC guidelines and they never asked a question. They were never taught anything about vaccines in medical school except follow the CDC guidelines. Trust the government. Trust the government. People don't trust the government anymore. It's pretty wild. I don't think they can pull that crap again. And I'm sorry that I don't know what's going on in New York. They've got explosive diarrhea. Okay, how did that happen? Oh, maybe we're shitting all over the sidewalks. That's a really good plan.
I forget who was it. It wasn't Dr. Oz. Who's the other doctor out there in California? What was his name? Man, I can't come up with it. Nah, Dr. Drew, maybe? Dr. Drew?
Dr. Drew?
Dr. Drew. Yeah, that's him. I like that guy. I don't know why, but I like him. And he said even during COVID when, he would walk down San Francisco and the defecation on the sidewalks and the needle and the drug use, he says, you got a better chance of catching typhus walking through Home Depot where all the birds shit all over the bag stuff, and you got a better chance of catching typhus than you do COVID. Even he said it even back then. He says the health risks are heavily outweigh. Again, hey, you know what? Great discussion because I think, because I saw that Legionnaire's disease outbreak come out today. Hey, how are people going to react? How are they going to react the next time when their government puts out, mask mandates or limits travel? I didn't abide by it the first time. I know I'm definitely not abiding by it the second time. Hey, let's say hello to Truth. Truth, how you doing, man? Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Don't comply.
Don't comply. Yeah, I remember that. Well, I'm just wondering, hey, are people going to use their common sense? Are they going to use a mild peroxide solution to spray up your nose to kill some of the bacteria so it doesn't land in your chest? Yeah, that would probably be pretty smart. But that's what Vietnam's government did for them. They didn't tell us prophylactic.
But how about more? Let's make common sense more common because it's just not.
When you have a cold, your nose is where the bacteria starts, right? The little things catch on the back of your throat. They produce millions and millions of other bacterias. I mean, that would be a sensible thing to me.
Well, like
Eating chicken
us,
soup and your collagens and, come on. I mean, common
but
sense, like we've all
like
been taught.
yeah, but like I said to you and everybody in these spaces when we talk about health, ask everybody in this room, point to where your heart is in your body. And I bet you some of you are pointing to the left part of your chest. It's dead center. People know so little about their bodies, but they can tell you sports statistics and all kinds of other crap that's needless. But your own body, the only thing you own, the entire life, your only true possession you have, your body, you don't know a damn thing about. And that should scare you. So it's really not common sense. And that's why people followed, because they know people are sheep and they've not wanted to teach anybody about their body. Oh, that's a doctor's job. And these doctors, they're pharmaceutical people. They're not doctors. They're not. Oh, anyway,
It's
this
the
is a
same
conversation,
thing.
dude.
It's the same thing, Truth, with insurance companies. They think that they know better. They don't even understand when somebody comes to the hospital, they want to just kick them right out. They don't understand their diagnoses. There's some people that don't need to be in the hospital, don't get me wrong, but there are some people that do, and they're the first ones that they will kick out, whether it's because it's, the things are going to cost too much money, whatever type of insurance plan they have, but it just blows my mind that you get somebody that comes in, and I'm exaggerating, but somebody comes in with a hangnail, gets admitted, they can stay for 3 days, and somebody comes in with a bad pneumonia and they're out in a day and a half. It's like, I don't think that doesn't make sense.
They use Cooper Hospital like a health system, and I proved that myself, having my own problems, having my own kids in that emergency ward. I was ushered to the front of the line. I'm the only one that had insurance.
Like the whole thing of you see commercials for shingles or whatever crap they're going to pull on you next. Then hey, guess what? You got the signs and symptoms. You go to the hospital. They've got the cure. They give you the little medicine. Oh, what? But it's not the cure. It's just a temporary fix. Oh no, now my kidneys are not doing so well, and my liver is getting messed up because these damn drugs that they're giving me. You see what I mean? It's a never-ending process.
How many colds did you have as a kid? How many sore throats? How much chloroseptic spray did your mother spray down my throat? Oh my God, that was the most terrible shit ever, right? If I wanted to cure myself, I had tea piping hot, burnt toast, drowned in butter, and chicken soup, dude. I mean, it was like heaven because I could feel it hitting even as a kid. It was, I don't know, man. I just go back and peroxide's been my friend since the very beginning here. So I don't understand. We were even told, not swallow bleach. I mean, dude, it's so ridiculous because now everybody depends on a doctor. My stomach hurts. There's a pill for that.
Oh, you can see what we get in our ER, Marlon. It's disgusting. The emergency room is called an emergency room for a reason, not because you have a cold or you think you might have COVID or you better come into the hospital because you've been throwing up a couple days. It's just utterly ridiculous what emergency rooms have become.
I feel there's no doubt in my mind. I haven't looked. I don't know, but I could guarantee CNN's all over Legionnaire's disease outbreak in New York City today. That's why I wanted to talk about it. How are we going to react?
When I Googled it, Marlon, all it came up was about 5-6 things about New York City with the Legionnaire outbreak. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Jeannie, and we'll go back to you, Susan.
Well, speaking of common sense medicine, I've been struggling to get that thing started, but I actually wanted to jump in on here because there's a really good conversation between me and John Bowden on X. And we were talking about how do we come together as an entity to communicate all of the medical freedom fighters. We need to get our shit together and get really loud. And he's advocating for focusing on the fraud because there's so much fraud in the data that we will never know how many people were killed by COVID the COVID vaccine, the hospital protocols, then the injured, then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the reality is I'm saying 40 million injured or killed, because it kind of encompasses everything but puts emphasis on the injured. And he's saying focus on the fraud. Just focus on the fraud. That one message screaming. And in my mind, that means the fraud of our government, the fraud of our of the violation of our rights, right? We were censored, we were shut down, we were trying to warn people, and we were shut down. I don't.
Hey, you weren't even shut down. You were penalized.
Yeah, well, we were fired. We were negated. There are many who lost their homes. There are many who lost their lives. So that have been in lawsuits. I mean, the physicians got sued. Nobody sues a nurse because we don't have any money, you know. But we can be shut up. And I think that, you know, there are so many different things going on. But by golly, the one thing that ties us all together is what they did. They massacred us. They murdered us. They killed us, and they is our government. And no one's paid any price for that. We've not gotten any justice at all. And in fact, we're still fighting our government to try and get this shit off of the market. And so, you know, like Truth says, people don't know where their heart is. Well, shit, they don't understand the gravity of what we've been through. And how do we communicate that to the rest of the world? Surely they've heard bits and pieces. Are they still saying we're conspiracy theorists?
Surely you must be joking. Damn it, stop calling me Shirley.
But yeah, we need, and I'm really, really hoping, Marlon, you made a comment that I want to clarify. You said you need to get back involved. And so
I do.
I really want to nail you down and have you explain exactly what you mean, because I think you're the glue that we need. So there, I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I appreciate that, Jeannie. Well, I appreciate that. Well, look, hey, and you know, hey, in the background, hey, I got some changes going on, business-wise, and things I need to pay attention to. But I guarantee you that that distraction is not going to be there for very long. And I have my teeth into it with both feet right now, especially in my State Department. So I'm biding my time. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I want to, you know, from now on, when I make promises, I need to come through with them. And there's been some life changes that made that impossible. So you know what? That's the way life goes. We'll scratch it clean, and we develop the line, and we start again. And you know what, Jeannie? Anybody that's known me, it's been exactly how I've treated it. You know how many times I've restarted my life, and that's just what we got to do, is restart this. Hey, and real quick, I want to say hello to Janet. Janet, how you doing? It's been great to see you. I'm telling you, you must have ESP. I was saying, hey, where's Janet? And there's poof, Janet from another planet. How you doing? Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Susie. It's nice to see you. I've been so busy, had so many things going on, but I just wanted to chime in and say that we got to be real careful about saying it's the government, because it isn't. It's just people in the government that have gotten away with so much for so long that it's going to be really hard for us to take each of them down for the things that they've done to us. But I do believe that it's about to happen. I really do. So for the first time since the beginning of COVID, I finally believe that certain people are going to be taken down, because they are the ones that are going to spill the beans on the others. and have us be able to collect and put people behind bars. But we have to be patient. I know it sucks. It really does suck because over half my family are sick, and some have died. I didn't get it, but I was pressured every day by these same people that are sick to be tested, to get the jab, get the jab, blah, blah, blah. And I understand what you're going through. I personally can't say I know what it's like to have gotten it and be sick from it because of my allergies. I was lucky to decide not to do it because I didn't know what was in it and I could have died. So I'm thankful for that. And I pray to God every day, please help us. But I've used my little outlets, which is my live streams and things like that, to try to get the word out. And guess what? I've had all of my videos and live streams taken down. Anything that had to do with child trafficking or COVID, I've had taken down. Right as of today, I have 2 strikes against my channel, and if I get another one, I will have no YouTube channel at all. I've been demonetized. They've done everything, but guess what? I haven't shut up. I'm still doing it because it's important, and that's all
Well,
we
you
can
know
do.
what, Janet? You've been that same person. You've been that same person. So I've known you from the app from the very beginning.
That's the truth. And I'm trying to stay this way because it's important that we don't let anyone else push us around. And I've had death threats, believe it or not, and I'm nobody. I'm a teeny tiny speck in this universe, but it's not going to shut me up. I'm a military brat and I'm going to fight till the end. But thank you for letting me speak. And I'm going to sit in and listen, and hopefully I can, help it a little bit. Thank you. God bless America.
Amen. Well, God bless America. Great to see you. You know what makes me feel really good? I'm down here in Brigantine. I have an appointment at 10:30, and I just heard 2 F-35 scrambled here. And you know what? That makes me feel good. So, I know people in Florida experience the same thing, but if you don't live near one of these, I feel good every time those bitches fly over my house and they hit the afterburners. So, and they just did that here. So it's fantastic.
Hey, Marlon,
that.
I gotta tell Julie, I just sent you something so that you're aware. Okay.
Okay, I'll check it out.
So, okay, jump in there, Susan.
Well, I have to say I long since forgot exactly what I was going to talk about, but that's okay. I got other things. So yesterday I posted a comment under someone's thread. They were commenting, and it's some lawyer dude. He was commenting about all the things the Europeans have learned from us, ranch dressing, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And I posted a comment. You've also learned what freedom looks like. Maybe they'll take it to their own governments and make changes. Well, let me tell you, I got hammered by the trolls from every country. Like one of them was Guatemala and Australia, UK, Germany. And it just reminds me that people in these countries still do not understand what freedom looks like. These people are serious as a heart attack. Serious. I checked out some of these people. They're not just trolls, they're real people who don't, like some of them have like 15 followers, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But it just tells you that the rest of the world still does not understand what freedom looks like. And, I responded back just to the whole thread, not to anyone specifically. Hey, the next time y'all get like invaded like you have been and socialism hits your door and you come crying to us like you did in 2 world wars to help you out, maybe we're going to give you the middle finger, because seriously, you people don't even understand what's going on in your own country, and you keep voting for these people. And it's really sad to see these people who, Australia, they locked people up who wouldn't take the vaccination. The UK is locking up people, and Germany, by the way, has been locking people up for social media posts. Right now, Marie Le Pen is going to have to do a whole year of house arrest with an ankle monitor because apparently she embezzled money. We all know that's garbage. They don't want her to be president, but she can still run for president in 2027, which is a year from now. It's just insane that people look in their own country, they look at our country and say we don't have freedoms. They have no idea what freedom really looks like. And they all, I mean, people in Germany have finally, you know, I have friends that are from there. They finally understood, and they're now actively telling people, yes, do not get these COVID shots. They stopped doing it. Here in this country, the pharmacies are still pushing it ridiculously. You know, the UK completely ignored the rape of their own women and children, and they want to come talk to us about freedom. Well, that's a sorry
You,
situation for sure. Very sorry situation. And it's really
yeah,
sad
but
to
you know
see
what,
these other
Susan?
countries do this kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's not just other countries. New Jersey
Oh,
voted
yeah,
in a
yeah,
socialist
yeah.
governor. Okay, all right. She's got a political pact with Montami, right? That's how they won the election, right? They were able to raise funds, kill it most social media wise, and they grabbed that sector, that demographic of people, that 18 to 34. You know, they slammed the shit out of it. They got plenty of votes out of it. That's all they needed. So look, if you want to look at, you know, you're talking about the UK, the UK, Germany, British Columbia. If you hurt somebody's feelings, they could prosecute you. You can go to the clink because you hurt somebody's feelings.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not
Canada
talking
weighed
about,
in on this,
you know,
254 comments. Like, I don't usually get anything at all. You know, I'm pretty invisible until I talk about freedom.
yeah,
Wow, that's really
well,
interesting. Yes, exactly.
freedom. You know, Susan, freedom, right? Freedom. Well, what does that really mean? Do really any of us in this room really know what it means besides the veterans? I don't know. I thank my lucky stars every day. So to remember veterans throughout these spaces and every day, I just,
Yeah, and
a lot of people are being led down this divisional route. A lot of people are being led down this division, and I see it with people that are in my daily life. I see it on the app. I see it everywhere. They're turning on Trump. They are turning their back because of the way that the social media is putting it out there. You know, BlackRock at the Chinese summit didn't look good for Trump. You know, and they're using this to the fullest extent. You know, it becomes disheartening. And Jeannie, you asked why, right? Because hey, there are true people there. It brings me to some kind of point that I need to make. I'm just telling you guys, I've been on this app for 4 years solid, right? And lately, you know, I just because of work and everything in the background, I needed to pull back a hair, and I'm thankful to have the community come up and really contribute. But I want you to look at these people. Now, I've been doing it 4 years. Do you see this space? Does it start out with 60, 80, 90, 100 people ever? I'm talking about 4 years, okay? I want you to look at these other people's apps. As soon as they start the space, anybody that's been on spaces, it's not organic. It is not true. I don't give a shit who it is, who you think are there for the right reason. They're starting those spaces out like that, and there's clowns right here in the morning that try and do that. And I'm not talking about the punch bowl, right? Punch bowl's been around a long time. Punch bowl's been around longer than I have. So you know what, Bishop, hey, you keep doing your thing, man. I got a lot of respect for that. I'm not calling that particular one out, but there are people that you guys are listening to that start out with hundreds in their spaces. It just doesn't happen. It's a false narrative. These people are paid to be there to push narratives. And you know them. You all know them. Go ahead, Jeannie. And then, I'm sorry, Jeannie. Can I get Julie to
go
answer
ahead.
and then get?
Yeah, no, it's true. That's why everybody always says, be careful who you follow, be careful what you're looking at, because these are the kind of things that we need to look out for. And speaking of this space being good, we do have a lot of people in here already, but please go to that purple bubble, like and reshare the space. Let's get it out there, bookmark it, get it up on the algorithm. There's people that will listen to this later, and there's some good information that's coming out of this. Okay, thank you very much.
You know, Jeannie, you called out leaders. You know what? when I see people react and they want to react to what we're putting out there, well, you know what? Guess what? I will be a leader at that point. I'm very close to Washington. I have these tools at my exposure. You know, we need to work on some plans. I would say a good designation for that would be CPAC next year. I'm looking for people to actually show up at CPAC next year in Florida. I want to go in the worst way. I want to make sure that I go, because I was definitely a little jelly this year because some of the people here were there. And you know what? I'm not going to miss CPAC next year. I want to see the vibe. From what I heard, the morale was low. I guarantee if I went to CPAC, the morale on my side would not be low. I wouldn't give a shit who was listening. They have 4 years of spaces to go back and find out who I am. There's plenty of evidence there. But I'm not doing it until I see people actually step up to the bat, Jeannie. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Julie. Do you want to go?
No, I was just going to say, Marlon, we should get a little group here from New Jersey and we should all go together. I would definitely be in for that.
Absolutely. I think, you know, let's change the morale going into CPAC, especially, hey, regardless of whatever happens in the midterm, we need to have a good showing. And you know what? Maybe some of those people need to hear some of the issues that come out of the space. So, yes, that is one initiative I am going to strive for. I think it's long enough away that people can plan on making a trip down to Florida for CPAC. You know what? I have to go. If all of this is worth anything, me screaming on the beach about East Coast wind, they're definitely going to hear about the East Coast wind when I show up in CPAC. I can tell you that. And it's going to, and really, hey, these issues should be number one on these candidates coming through. Byron Evans, is that, am I saying
Byron
that right?
Donalds?
Byron Evans, who's the dude? Donalds. I'm sorry. I had a brain fart there. Donalds. You know, a lot of people, oh man, that guy's no good. Look at his funding. You know, I'm finding out the people I even thought were good, if you look at the funding behind them, even my own congressional member, and you all know who I'm talking about, they're taking money from the enemy, man. Okay? Every one of those candidates are. So you better get used to it and don't have sour grapes when you see them. We just need to politically position them. As soon as we learn how to do that, these people will step in line much more. I do see a lot of activity on, you know, what Take Back comes and brings all the time, and people actually bringing lawsuits into their counties. You know, it's really a participation, developing voter quorums. That's what we're about. That should be every American's objective now. I mean, you see it, okay? Your vote don't count. Go make your own voice. Guaranteed, those PACs are going to want to talk to you. Okay. So anyway, Jeannie, did you want to
Yeah,
say something?
because you brought up the term leader, and I have been studying what a leader is for many, 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 many years. And when you're talking about all of the being able to identify a person's true motive, you know, and it's about follow the money. It's been demonstrated over and over and over again by the people on X who have had a passion to unveil the truth, right? We're going after the truth. And now it's become, you know, at first I was shocked. Marjorie Taylor Greene, what do you mean Tucker Carlson? And you know, the thread that connects them all is money. It's like, seriously, with everything that's going on and you're putting money, your wealth ahead of everything else that's going on, that's the telltale sign. And I remember talking about this with Hippie before she passed away. And that,
Wow.
yeah.
Hippie would love it. Hippie would be at the front of the chart.
So, but we were talking about what's the common thread, and we very naively said it's money. It's money. If you put money ahead of what you're trying to do for humanity, that's the telltale sign. So that's why we nurses are just like, when I say nurses, I mean all the glorious people who really want to help people and save people's lives. That's why we lead, because that's what we're focused on, is saving lives and promoting longevity and those types of things. And we're always the ones that we don't make money. We don't get any respect. Rodney Dangerfield. We're overlooked. We're, we're the servants. And I think that's the key, regardless of what arena you're looking at it from, a political or a industrial or economic or health, or it doesn't matter. It's we the people, right? It's grassroots, we the people.
Jeannie, you know who had it right? George Carlin had it right. He had it right all them years ago. That man was on top of it. He knew. He knew. And real quick before we go much further, how you doing, Jeff? I haven't seen you in a minute. You want to say hello? Janet, hey, thanks for jumping in there. Good to see you. Julie, thanks for coming in and giving
Sorry,
me a hand.
Marlon, I had my hands busy. Good morning, y'all. Give me a minute, sir.
So I see Russell came up. Russell, you want to say hello, man? Russell, how you doing? You hear the discussion, and really what brought it to us was an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease is what they called it in the
those people are bought. They're complicit, and we can't do anything. You know, the when you try to form organizations out here, as far as like a militia or anything like that, you got infiltrators. If you got over 3 people, you're infiltrated. You know, I went through the whole thing. The Proud Boys talked to me, the 3%ers, Sons of the South, you know, all of them. And I didn't want to join any of them because I didn't want them to know exactly who I was or where I was coming from, because then I'm a target. All they got to do is come burn my house down with me in it. You know, and these people, you don't realize there was times when I was in my home and could not have a weapon and wondered if somebody was going to kick the door in. You know what I mean? The whole year and a half before I went to court. And then after, you know, and I've been called everything there was to be called as far as un-American. And it's the way I feel, people like me is what started this dang country. You know,
Russell, I would have been very creative on the weapons that I would have used. So I don't think just not having a gun would have been an option.
Oh yeah, well there was some things piled around corners. And, yeah. And you know, I can take a beating if you can give one too. You know, but the whole thing is these people have they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. They're doing it for the money. You know, and if somebody puts some money on your head and they don't want you to talk no more, you don't stand a real good chance, you know, unless you catch them, unless you get to the trigger first, you know. But anyway, you guys have a good day. I got to go sand some Bondo.
Good to see you, Russell.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, jump in there, Janet. I know you had to drop down. Go ahead, and we're going to use.
Well, I dropped because I kept getting those things saying that the connection wasn't very good. And next thing you know, I didn't have a mic. So it's okay. But the thing is that I wanted to add this. When I went to Marysville to visit some relatives at the base there, I had my nephew with me, and we were taking the trash down to the curb because we were watching the house. And the neighbor came up and started talking to me. And they were wearing the full garb and everything. It was a man. And my nephew came running up to him once he got his trash can down there, right? Because he's littler than me. He was like 8. And he went to shake the guy's hand, and the guy just looked at him and didn't shake his hand. So he grabbed his left hand and started shaking it, saying, hello. And it was his neighbor. I mean, this was their house. And he slapped this kid and said, never touch my unclean hand, or something like that. And I went, what the fuck? And I raised my hand up to hit him with a fist, and he put his hand up and he said, no, I meant no disrespect. And I said, you touched a child he didn't do anything to you. And I said, I should call the police. That's what I said. And he said, I'm sorry, it's our religion, or something like that. And I said, you're living in America now. You have respect for Americans. But I got pissed off, and I was really close.
Well, you know,
I was going to call the cops.
You know, Janet, that, hey, because of that particular subject, I'll definitely let the F-bomb go. So,
sorry, but I was so upset. I was literally in tears by the time his mother came home, and they said that they'd been there for 2 years. And I said, well, 2 years is long enough to assimilate. They aren't going to. And they said, well, they're nice, they're courteous, or whatever. And I said, I don't care. When it comes down and they say it's time for the caliphate and it's time for them to make a decision, you're dead. If you don't turn to their religion, it doesn't matter. If you read the Quran and they practice Muslims, they will take you out because you're an infidel. And remember, in their Quran, it says they can lie to you if you're an infidel. They can say anything. And if you go and watch Mandami swearing in, the woman is a Muslim that's holding the Quran, but she's not touching it with her bare hands, okay? A woman is not allowed to touch the Quran because she's unclean once she starts to ministrate. And a lot of people have no clue what they're voting for, and they are dooming themselves, and they're going to doom the rest of our country by dragging us down with them. That's all I wanted to add. I'm sorry.
You got no, that's cool. Again, yeah, you know, Go ahead, Julie, and then we'll go to Susan. She's been waiting patiently.
Yeah, speaking of Mandami, I was just looking at a post, that he's looking to be getting an increase in his salary to $300,000 would be one of the highest. So I don't think he'll be concerned about the outbreak of Legionnaires, for one, and for two, let's give everybody things for free, but I'm going to take a $300,000 paycheck. Yeah. I mean, if this doesn't look right into your face and say, yeah, you guys are fools and this is what you voted for and you're not going to get anything that I'm promising you, because promises are just empty. So, I just wanted to point that one out. I just saw that post.
What is it? Opinions are like asses. Everybody's got one. Go ahead, Sue.
Well, I wanted to respond to that man from England, and I don't see him here anymore.
He jetted.
Yeah.
He was a disruptor. There's a disruptor for you.
Oh, well, I thought he kind of understood what was going on in history with the Muslim invasion in his country. And, we're noticing it. We're noticing it coming up in our councils. And, in England, they've taken over entire, Manchester is not the same anymore at all. It's completely Muslim now. And yeah, we're paying attention to this. We're seeing it. And I don't know how this is going to sort out. This is where, we can't just onesie twosie get these people out of here. Okay. That's not going to work. Because as soon as you start moving these people out, visibly moving them out, they're going to retaliate. And it'll be ugly. It won't be pretty, because these people don't care. They absolutely don't care. And we'll have another 9/11 like event. So this is going to have to come down hard, and quick, if you know what I mean. Because if we don't do something soon, good men are going to start doing bad things. They're out there. They're not on Spaces. They're not online. They're not using their phones. Some of them don't even have phones. But there's something that they do have. Courage, grit, determination. It only takes, a small percentage of the population to take care of this. Hopefully it won't go that way, because that'll be ugly. That'll be really ugly. But
In my opinion, Susan, I think we would all experience some kind of humanity at that point. People were saying, hey, at the end of COVID, hey, they're piling out of the cities and they're going to come and take your thing. This was the fear porn that they spread. I don't know that people would be that vicious. And, if it spills out into suburban, they know it. They got another thing coming. This ain't just happening. It's like I hear the talk, 50,000, Chinese fighting men. It's a drop in the bucket. Let me tell you, you got a pack of them rolling down the street here. We're going to notice. So I have no fear. There is no fear. I don't understand the people. It's just, let's just keep focused. It's hard to take sometimes. It really is. Go ahead, Jay.
Just look what they're doing with Hyde Mitch McConnell right now, Marlon. This man should have been out of office last year, a couple years ago. His health has been failing forever.
Mitch
Zoran Mandani, isn't he a failed rapper? Right?
Mitch the Glitch,
This
dude.
guy's a rapper.
We saw.
There you go.
Wait, who you talking? Wait. Who you talking
Zoran
about?
Mandani. Well, I was talking about Zoran Mandani. He was a rapper. I thought he was a failed rapper.
No, he was.
He tried to be a rapper.
No.
I think so. Yes, he was. That's true. But my middle boy said, Dad, we need change. And so the 18 to 34-year-old kids, they saw Zoran Mandani as change, and the media flipped it. And that was why they got the younger people's vote, because they are looking for a change. We need to go out with the Mitch McConnells and come in with the new Marlins. That's a goal from here on out. We're in charge, Marlon.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the super M on my chest yet, so that's a tall order, man. Go ahead, Jay.
I just wanted to add, remember Bad Bunny, halftime person at the Super Bowl. Woohoo! We just need more of that for change, don't we? But them young people, they eat it up because they're so used to mommy and daddy paying all their bills, paying for their cell phone, paying for their car, paying for their food, everything. So when mom and dad stops paying their way and they start having to realize they have to pay for it for themselves, that's when we're going to really see a change. So see, it's not all in the government. It's a lot of us stopping our kids from getting freebies and working for a living like we had to do when we were young.
Well, where do you think you got the grit, Janet? Right? You know, like just like people said in here, your parents told you to leave the house after dinner. Don't come back until it's dark. That's what I got. Like, you know, building underground forts, tying knots. I mean, most people couldn't even tie a knot on a truck that they could get on loose. I mean, there's just simple things that really we didn't educate our children with. Now,
Well,
I got
the thing
it.
is that I had to have a job. I had 4 sisters, and we had to have jobs in the summer, babysitting, mowing. I was a tomboy, so I did a lot of that type of stuff outdoors. But the thing is, if I wanted an annual each year, or I wanted those fancy jeans that my mom couldn't afford, I had to buy them. So I worked. And we put money in savings so we'd have money to spend when we went on our vacation or anything like that. But parents don't do that now. You have a kid that's in a grocery cart running around with their mom, and both kids have $900 iPhones. You know, that's the problem. We're coddling our kids and we're not preparing them for real life afterward. And if they're a young white male, guess what? I hate to say it, but it's not looking good for you.
Janet, in your neighborhood, or maybe some of the Gen Xers, do you remember the Shopper's Guide? Right? Like the Shopper's Guide was a big thing, right? You guys, right? That was the paper that showed up in everybody's driveway and nobody read. Well, I used to get.
Not really, because remember, I grew up on Air Force bases. So I was almost graduated from high school by the time my dad retired.
So I got my first job on a boat when I was 12 years old. My father knew the guy who had a charter boat. His mate didn't show up, and the guy had seen me for a couple of years and said, "Hey, I want to take your kid," and that's how I became a mate on a boat when I was 12. It was the most fantastic experience as a kid, and I was able to go fishing and make money. I mean, this was a great concept when I was 12 years old. So yeah, I did that for summers on end. You know, and in the wintertime, I was a bricklayer, right? I worked as a bricklayer's helper, a bricklayer's foreman, a labor foreman. You know, there hasn't been too much that I haven't done, but you know, the real essence of me is, hey, I've never lost the ocean thing, right? Something that I was always passionate about. I wanted to be an oceanographer. When I was a kid, I grew up on the bay, on the Delaware Bay, and I was exposed to it my entire life, and I loved it. And that's why, hey, I became so passionate about fighting the East Coast wind. So, Janet, I don't know if you were in here before, but, you know, hey, I would love to see, you know, some kind of, hey, motivation to go to CPAC next year in Florida. I don't know if your gang will be up for that or anything, but I would love a few of us from X, especially the old timers or OGs as they call it, to go and represent. I think it would be fantastic. I don't know if you would be into that.
Yeah, I
don't know if you were here.
I was in here, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm in the Ozarks, and there are a few kick-ass people from Arkansas on this app that are very patriotic. I'm sure they would all think about doing something like that. And I would say, if I went to American Space, because I do go to, I've been going to American Space. He's the very first space I ever went in with him and Haas, like 5 years ago when Spaces first started. So I think a lot of them would also want to sign up to go and make a pact to go do that.
Yeah, I mean, even if we don't do something official and just show up our individual, I'm down with that. You know, maybe collectively we get a booth. I mean, you know, then now we're talking, right? So we really want to get our message out there or something like that. It would be all right to get some kind of, you know, cooperation going here, and maybe some of the other communities might hear some of the same messaging. So I see Ringo down there, I see Jenny or whatever, and you know, a lot of other people that come in and support the platform. But yeah, man, showing up to CPAC next year, I think it'd be kick ass, and I think they'd know you coming.
Yeah, I think that would be great. But I was going to go back to what you were talking about a minute ago. If there is a way that us parents and any grandparents started pushing the fact that their kids should be given cash and learn how to use cash, because I've seen so many young people in their 20s that are strapped for money now, and they're because they were living off plastic, because they got to figure out that plastic is money. That when you buy Uber Eats every day at 30 something dollars a day for lunch or dinner, it adds up. And plastic means you have to pay interest. And if you're only paying interest on your monthly bill, guess what? You're in debt. But they don't understand that. I mean, when you got a kid that graduates from high school that never even learned what a balance a checking book means, or any of those things, because they don't teach those things anymore. They hardly teach anything for a kid to graduate and then be able to get a job and pay their way. I was moved out at 17 because I had 4 siblings in one bathroom in our house. And my mother's mother had moved in, so she took one of the rooms. So 2 of my sisters graduated, moved out, but us 3 other sisters had to share a room, and it was really hard. People don't realize how hard it is to survive, pay your bills, and be on time. And if you want a car, you got to pay for your gas, you got to pay for your insurance, you got to pay for your registration. There's a lot to go with it. But we're getting kids that are graduating and going to college and have no idea by the time they graduate from college that bills need to be paid. And who's going to pay their bill? Oh, mom and dad. Well, what happens when mom and dad aren't around anymore? Well, they turn to drugs, alcohol, who knows what. And we're wondering why there's such an epidemic. Well, that's one of the reasons, because we don't have good family values. We don't have good family, even a single dad taking care of his 2 kids can still be there for their kids. I mean, I'm just saying, we need to start pushing family again, and that family supports family. And if you need something, I'll help you, but you need to try to do things for yourself. I see some hands up, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, cash is king, Janet. I had more money than every one of my friends in high school. It's just the way that I wanted it. They probably make more money than I do now, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, learning a trade, especially these days, I don't know if people realize, like, whether you agree or don't agree, and I know we've talked extensively, probably too much, regarding data centers and all this crap. Electricians there's a shortage of electricians. For every electrician that retires, or every 10 that retire, only 4 replace, 3 or 4. That's a problem. But it's also a good thing for existing electricians, because they're getting paid higher than they've ever been paid. Like right now in Texas, where they're doing a lot of data centers and all that kind of crap, electricians are making like $240,000 plus a year as an electrician. Nobody thought of that before. They usually think you don't get paid much. Well, they're getting paid a lot. So we're lacking in trades. Become a plumber, electrician, a welder, those kind of things. They're so valuable. And you focus on that. Get your kids out of the college brain. The whole programming that was put into us. You got to go to high school, then college, and then you get a job. No. Learn a trade. But something you said earlier, Marlon, I kind of got to push back a little bit. Simply when talk about not worried about the amount of people or whatever it was in invasion, dude. We had numbers. They say 20 million. I say more like 50 million that invaded. Do you realize if I just put a squad together, if you know kind of the military stuff, a squad's about 6 to 10 soldiers. A squad can take over a village. Look what happened in freaking Oregon, where it got taken over by a bunch of freaking idiots. So when you're in the millions of people, I don't know if people realize that. Like a platoon is, maybe 100, couple hundred, if you get, a few platoons together, now you've got like a company or a troop. Then a battalion is only about 1,000 soldiers. I mean, do you realize like how much trained people can do? If I got a group of my veteran buddies, dude, we could take a town over and just a few of us, so it is a real thing. When they have military age men coming, what do you think they're doing all day long? When they get paid for everything, what do you think they're training on? Do you think that they can't get a hold of weapons? It's easy to get a hold of a weapon. So, I mean, it's a concern that people need to kind of wake up to. Like, dude, if stuff pops off, don't think that we're just going to overpower them. If they're trained and they're armed and they have millions of people, that's an issue. That's a real live issue.
Now, okay, when you use the term millions, yeah, but I'm just telling you right now that the people that I know are 80% of my population in my county are conservative, gun owning American conservatives, have multiple guns. It's just going to happen. Wait. Let's back up. Number one thing you should do is go get in touch with your sheriff. If you have any fear of any of that, or you want to know about responses, or you want to know about, anything, that sheriff should give you the answer and volunteer to him. At the time when you maybe volunteer, he doesn't think it's very important, but if you actually volunteer, I live on the outskirts of my county. If he had an outpost where he was pulling information out of me through VHF radio, because that's what would happen, right? There would be no more power. They would cut the power. So all those steps would have to happen for me to even say, oh my God, it's popping off, and again, I think a lot of people, use common sense. I think a portion of humanity is going to come out at that point, and people would band together. Maybe it would be something where, we would be able to, change the way that we treat our neighbors. Maybe it would be a unifying thing. I don't know, Truth. I really don't. I wish I had a crystal ball to say.
No, I'm not discrediting what could happen. And again, God forbid. But I don't know if people realize how small units are, however you want to call it, a squad, platoon, company, battalion, brigade, division. There's all kinds of military terms you can use, but it's a really small amount of people that, control a situation. And yes, you take out comms and power. Those are kind of... Anyway, I'll shut up for a minute. I'll come right back.
I think, look, if they use the same tactic as they did at COVID, right? They scared the populace. A scared populace, a very easy manipulated populace. I would say there would have to be some kind of mark there that, would, say, oh my God, this is abnormal, but that's not saying that you shouldn't be prepared. That's not saying, you should have an alternative power source, or, like in my particular case, the only thing I rely on is electric. I can produce my own electric. I have gas, I have everything, I have water, I have everything that I need. So, some people, maybe, people broke their balls years ago, and preppers and this, and, hey, man, the economy shuts down, trucking shuts down, something really happens, it pops off, that shit's going to come to a halt, a screeching halt. Anyway, we can hypothesize on that all we need to, but being prepared, I look, it's the 3 Ps, right? Poor performance comes from lack of piss poor preparation, right? So if you prepare and you're ready for the worst, remember the 3 Ps, right? Okay, Jeff.
Well, I just wanted to chime in. Years ago, when I first started on here, about 5 years ago when Faces first started, a lot of spaces were preppers. And that's one of the ways I met Susie. People that know how to raise chickens and know how to grow fruits and vegetables, know how to store the seed so you can plant them again next year, all these different things. Now, not everyone's going to be a farmer. Not everyone's got the property to do that, but there's other things you can do. Learning how to sew, learning how to do things where you can get eggs from someone else because you sew their clothes for them, or you cut their hair, or different things like that. It's called bartering. Okay. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you have friends. So networking is very important. Being able to know who your neighbors are, know who it lives in your town, and what skills they might have. What skills do you have that you might be able to help them with? That type of stuff. And yes, preparing for something that could happen. I lived in New Orleans. We always had to be prepared for hurricanes. Then I moved to Arkansas. Guess what? Tornadoes. So I had to be prepared for those things. And fires, all kinds of things. Bears. I just posted a video a couple days ago from another black bear in my backyard. So you just don't know. And snake bites, whatever. It depends on where you live. But if you live in the city, there are things you can do. Store water, like jugs of water under your bed. But don't go around telling everyone, oh, I got 50 jars of water. I got this, that, and the other. Because guess what? Your house is where they're going to go if there is an emergency. So you have to know who your friends are, who your enemies are, and how to be prepared and how to protect yourself. And those are all things that you should know, because you could have a blackout in your city. You could have lots of things. We have no idea what could be possible tomorrow. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared. That doesn't mean you're a freak. That doesn't mean you're a nut. It just means that you're smart and you want to make sure your family is taken care of if anything ever does happen. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Janet, you just mentioned, Dr. G has been operating, doing a space here and there whenever he gets coverage out of Cuba, because there's no electricity, where the socialism and the Marxists and the communists reign supreme. And that's a good, excellent point. Now, Marlon, for me, I went through boot camp when I was 13 and graduated when I was 14. One of the best decisions that I ever went through. And we were built by the Vietnam veterans. Top guy was Ranger Special Forces guy, Delta Force. And man, that guy was, man, when I was 14 years old, taught me a lesson. And those guys were tough as nails. And that's what Janet's talking about. These young men need to go through some tough times. And, it's like you're following me around, girl. Always carry cash on a rubber band in my pocket. That way I know what I'm spending when I need to pay close attention. But on the credit card information, that's correct. Now, I put money on the credit card so I can keep my credit rating up super high. And that's the level. When you understand how credit works, it works when you're able to use it, not to depend on it, but to be able to use it to leverage cash. But that also goes into play with the credit card, where they get a 10% or 5% or 39% or 2%. They take a little bit every single time. That way, after 50 transactions, that $50 bill has been taken away from you in transactions and fees. Excellent point. The kids need to understand money like we knew it when we were kids. I'll yield.
Yeah, but Jeff, you can't go to the inner city in Washington and pay cash for a meal. You have to use a card. I was never so disgusted about Washington ever in my life. I could not find a restaurant that would take cash. Anyway, I think it's more like the grit and giving the educations the opportunity. Go ahead, Julian. We'll go to Susan G.
Yeah, no, what Janet was saying, like anything you should be prepared for. You never know. Look what happened right here in New Jersey on Friday night. We had a 10-minute, guys, a 10-minute storm blew through, knocked out power. There's still people without power right now. This is 2026, unbelievable to me. But you know what? I've been, we have, jugs of water stored for just such an occasion because, obviously to flush the toilet and do all that stuff. We were already prepared and had all that ready. We had all of our solar, light ready to go and everything. And, it's just about being prepared for things because you never know. It doesn't matter what the situation is. You should know, you should have certain things ready to go in case you need to. We always keep, obviously you want to keep cash, a little cash hidden just in case, because if like Janet was saying, if the power and stuff goes out, you can't go to ATMs and use ATMs anymore. You can't do that kind of stuff. You have to be ready and prepared. So yeah, big
shit. Julie, they cut the power here. People will get primal real quick. Go ahead, Truth, and then we'll go to Sue.
Hey, just food for thought. I don't know if you remember that old Stallone movie, Demolition Man, but we're only 6 years away from Taco Bell winning the food chain war, and the only place that we can eat. Just throwing it out there. 2032.
Yeah, no spicy food, right? No spicy food.
I don't know if you remember watching that, but Taco Bell was the only.
I remember. Yeah. Taco smell. Go ahead, Susan.
Maybe that's the source of the explosive diarrhea. Anyway, I had to say that. Sorry.